Hey y'all, thanks for tuning into another video. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this page and all of my socials. Love for you guys to go on there and subscribe to the channel so that we can share this message with more people. When we think about perfectionism, really thinking about perfectionism and how it relates to me and to other people, it's really rooted in that pride and that ego and feeling like you need to be perfect. In fact, perfectionism is the fear of being seen with the goal of remaining blameless. So you don't want you're already so critical of yourself. You don't want anybody else to critique you. So in order to stay blameless, you have to remain behind a facade so that you're not fully seen in an effort for other people to not critique who you are. But what you'll realize is when you're around people who love you, they kind of already know your flaws. And so you're doing that, but inadvertently, you're just creating a block between you and other people. When we think about why we have the need to be perfect, it reminds me of something that happened last week. So I posted this video and it was about perfectionism. It was a short. And I used an Instagram filter because your girl loves a good Instagram filter. And I always record my shorts with the Instagram filter because I record them on the Instagram platform. And someone in the comments posted something about how hypocritical it was for me to be talking about perfectionism, but yet have a filter on my videos. Now, immediately, I wanted to remain blameless. So I wanted to say, okay, they saw something in me that feels hypocritical to them, and I want to remain blameless, so I'm going to defend myself because I can't handle a critique from a stranger. But I sat with that for a second and I was like, no, this is an opportunity for me to be completely human inside of this space. Now, if any of you know me personally, you know that my skin is a big insecurity because I've had acne pretty much my entire life. And so showing my bare skin has always been an insecurity for me because breakouts are there and my skin is not perfect and it's just a whole thing. And so when she commented on something that's always been an insecurity, I wanted to just let her know how I felt about how rude it was to even feel the need to type those two sentences. But I sat with it for a second and I was like, well, that would kind of be operating an ego, right? And so instead of doing that, my response was very different. And I just said, I understand like her comment. I understand your comment. And I also am the person who has recorded videos without makeup on. I'm also the person who will change the exposure of the videos so that the quality looks good. I'm also the person who deals with skin issues. And then also, by the way, I love a good Instagram filter, so I'm going to use those too because there's humanity inside of that. I didn't have to defend myself and remain blameless. I was going to present to her all of the flaws in that. I get it, because if you're talking about perfectionism, then you should show your imperfections. But also, I don't have to do that to give some things that I've learned about perfectionism along the way. I can still have insecurities with my skin, but also use a filter and talk about how perfectionism is not the way we should move in this world. I'm a human, and therefore I can do all of those things and still be the person who has knowledge about perfectionism because I've lived it, and also have imperfections that I don't love about me. And so I chose a different route with that one. But when you're a perfectionist, that doesn't always feel like the space that you can move in, because perfectionism feels like you have to protect yourself from the world. But perfectionism isn't safe for you or other people because you're not giving yourself the ability to have quality relationships where people see you, and those people aren't able to be fully vulnerable with you because they know you're going to operate in a space of perfectionism. Because love requires owning and sharing flaws. True, intense love requires owning and sharing flaws. Because if you walk around in this world pretending that you're perfect, first of all, people know that that's a lie. And secondly, they know that you're trying to protect yourself from them. So how does love exist in a space where you're building up walls around people? So if you want to be a safe person, you have to be able to own and share your flaws. Perfectionism has to go to the wayside. Another thing is that when you're a perfectionist, your mission becomes to prove to people how perfect you are at all times. So you want to do all the right things, say all the right things, be all the right things, look all the right ways. And first of all, that doesn't exist because no one on this earth is perfect. But secondly, if you don't give yourself grace, then you're not going to understand how to fully give grace to other people. And I know that's difficult because as a perfectionist, it's oftentimes really difficult to understand that the grace that you want to give other people is also deserved by you. That you can be given grace to and you can receive that grace. And when you don't believe that, you walk around the world trying to prove how perfect you are because you don't want anybody to critique you. And you also don't believe that you deserve the grace that you give to other people. So if you want to have quality relationships, when you unshoulder and get rid of the disguise of perfectionism, not feeling like you have to walk around and be perfect, then you're able to not only give grace, but understand that grace can be rewarded to you too, and that that's how relationships thrive. That love thrives because you're sharing flaws and everybody can give each other grace. If you're the perfect one all the time or seemingly perfect all the time, other people are going to walk around on eggshells around you because they're going to be afraid to make a mistake because you're always perfect. One of the best pieces of advice that I have given people about parenting is apologize for your mistakes. Because if you're the type of parent who walks around pretending like you're perfect, then your kids are going to think something is wrong with them if they make a mistake or if they have a flaw because they don't see the flaw in you and you've never pointed it out to them. So apologizing through the mistakes that you've made shows them your humanity. You don't have to walk around pretending like you're a perfect mom because you're not. And when you do that, then you're giving your kids the idea that they have to be perfect too. And you don't want them to live in that hell. And the last one is when you're a perfectionist, your ego can't handle blame because of your overthinking and the intense work that you put in to being perfect. So when someone has some sort of thing that they're blaming you for, or some sort of criticism that they have for you, you have a really hard time dealing with it because you're already overthinking every single mistake that you've made, holding yourself to the flame for every wrong word that you've said. You are your biggest critic. So when someone gives you some semblance that they're blaming you for something, your ego can't handle it because it's already injured. There's already a fracture in your ego because of the way that you speak to your own self. So we need to understand that flaws don't mean a bad person. Flaws just mean a human. And so when we walk around here pretending like we have to show the world the best version of ourselves, we have to be as close to perfect as we can possibly be. And by doing that, we're keeping ourselves safe, but we're also getting free of the ability to be criticized or critiqued. Then what we're doing is basically lying to the world about who we are and what we're experiencing and what we're going through because we think we're bad if we make mistakes. Because we grew up in that good girl culture where if you made a mistake, then you were the worst person in the world. The reality is, mistakes are so human. And I can tell you as a perfectionist who is working on no longer being a perfectionist, trying to reform from this behavior, that my greatest lessons were learned and what would be perceived from the outside world as my biggest mistakes. And I value those lessons so intensely. So because of that, I'm vowing to go into the world in this season of freedom, and I'm hoping the same for you. Understanding that I want to be a safe person more than I want to be a perfect person. I want to be a person who doesn't have to prove their perfectionism over understanding that I have the ability to give and receive grace. I want to be the type of person who doesn't care if someone blames me for something because my ability to apologize is on 10. Because it doesn't hurt me to have to apologize because the way that I speak to myself is not full of blame and shame. And I want to understand that mistakes don't make me a bad person, they just make me human. And I'm hoping that same journey for you, because I know there are so many people walking in the world right now with body image issues and eating disorders that are a result of that feeling of perfectionism. If I walk into the world overweight, people are going to judge me and think that I am out of control. I know that there are so many people doing it with producing at work or producing at school. I have to be perfect. I have to get straight A's, because if I don't, then people are going to judge me and think that something is wrong with me. But I promise you that part of the human experience is mistakes and flaws and being human, so that you can walk in this world wanting to fully be seen, because you don't care if there's blame put on you, because you're willing to make a mistake and you're willing to apologize for that mistake. So if this message resonated with you, I would love for you to like and subscribe to my page. Go to all my social media platforms and follow me on there. But also share this message with other people, because knowledge gained and kept to yourself is selfish, but knowledge gained and shared with the world may just be the catalyst that they need to break them free from the bondage. And this year is all about freedom, and I'm on a freedom journey, and I hope that every message that I share with you reaches somebody who I can help break free from the bondage they're in and be on their freedom journey as well. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.